Feilu Novel Network exclusive contract novel. Mythical Era. Me, super game developer crazy. Traveling into a world dominated by super games, players can obtain special abilities and equipment from various virtual reality games. The more complete the settings and the more rigorous the worldview, the higher the game's success rate. Playing with the Green Moon. What kind of broken game? Attack and kill. Isn't that the most garbage web game in my past life? Bound with a super game development system, Jiang Han felt it was necessary to save this world's game. Dungeons and warriors, epic swords and swords roam the world. League of Legends, 100 ancient heroes each leading the way. There are also World of Warcraft, Diablo, Sword and Fairy, Journey to the West, Yin and Yang Masters. A series of 100% realistic games that make the entire universe go berserk. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Super Game Development System, Seeking Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The latest game from Tianxin Company, Greedy Play Green Month, has been released, costing 800 billion yuan, with no cost for equipment. Now that you have logged into various platforms, players are welcome to download and try it out. Finally, I wish all players to become stronger in the game. Hello everyone, I'm Zhe. This is a brand new version that you haven't played before, just experience it for 3 minutes. Divine Weapon, crafted by you. Double experience, infinite cycle. Battle in the Imperial City, the winner is the king. Dragon Slaying Sword, click to send. I keep searching, where is the world with you? Attack and kill, waiting for you to fight. Yihan stood on the street, staring blankly at the game advertisement flashing on the huge screen of the high-rise building, with a bewildered expression on his face. This world. There's a problem. The problem is too big. Surprisingly, people from all over the universe are playing games, and players can still obtain terrifying powers like burning the sky and boiling the sea in the game. Is it funny? Yihan rubbed his head in a daze, accepting the memories of his predecessor. For a long time. His slightly bewildered eyes gradually became clear, and those messy memories were also smoothed out by him. No mistake. This is a world controlled by games. No one knows why, but any game created can give players various abilities in the game, but there is a difference between how much and how little. The most prestigious profession, there is only one, game designer. In this world, the status of game designers is very prestigious because games are designed by them. The more popular and high-quality the games they design, the higher the level of the designer. But interestingly, even games designed by designers themselves cannot freely acquire the abilities in the game. And some abilities that are designed to be extremely variable but without a corresponding worldview system to explain them are absolutely impossible for anyone to acquire and apply in reality. So to this day, there aren't many really good games in the entire universe. Most of it is garbage in the trash. Because the threshold for designers is very low, as long as you can design it, even if the game is terrible and no one plays it, you can still register as the most ordinary game designer. So, the lowest level designers, with a large number, are also the least cared about. According to the memory in my mind, the level of a game designer is quite strict, including Rookie, Apprentice, Elite, Master, 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 and it is said that there are only a few holy and divine levels in the entire universe. In fact, originally, there was no such level as Rookie, but it was later added to the title due to the excessive proliferation of game designers. To put it simply, it's to mock those designers who overestimate their abilities. This world is simply tailored for me. Yihan's heart was filled with excitement. As a gaming enthusiast, he had countless ideas for good games in his mind. Most importantly, those games have a complete worldview. What does this mean? Explanation. The power set in the game as destructive can also be applied to reality. However, we still need to understand first. Yi-Han took a deep breath, followed his memory, and returned to his own home. This is a relatively large two-story small building, a legacy left by its predecessor's parents. It is located on the outskirts of this city, but it can still be considered prosperous. Walking up to the second floor, there is a game helmet in the game room. It is worth mentioning that games in this world are all virtual reality games and must be logged in using a game deck, game helmet, game glasses, and other devices. The level of technological development is countless times that of the Earth in its past life, Yi-Han muttered to himself. But it's normal to think about it. After all, the level of technological development in this world is already capable of space leaps, and space travel is no longer an idea, but a reality. After a brief familiarization, Yi-Han put on his gaming helmet. Click to open. Buzz. A dizziness struck, but quickly disappeared. When Yi-Han opened his eyes again, he found himself standing in a huge space. This space is filled with a high-tech atmosphere, with curtains of light floating around. On the screen of light, there are different games. Yi-Han glanced casually and then chose a game called Sword Flying Immortal to log in. 1 minute later. Yi-Han retreated with a black line. What kind of trash? To have no visuals, no plot, and a special flying sword, it's like stepping on a plastic sword and flying in a mosaic world. Later, he chose a game called Divine Demon / 3 hours later. Yi-Han reappeared on the game hall interface. He has tried over 50 games, most of which exit in just 1 minute. Occasionally, there are a few decent graphics, but when he kills a small monster with one sword and reaches level 999, he is speechless. Nima. Do you still want to gain the ability to synchronize with reality in the game? Why don't you go to heaven? If that's okay, people all over the world can destroy heaven and earth. However, it is not without good games. Among them, there are several games with the highest number of players online, such as Eternal, Universe OL, Three Realms Immortals and Demons, etc. Whether it's the graphics, gameplay, or storyline, they can all be called top-notch works. This world is not without talented people. But Yi-Han doesn't care. Games are never just a few outstanding works that people can play, but as long as they are fun enough, there will always be people playing. He believes. Some of the masterpieces in the current world, built with virtual reality, will definitely be more exciting and popular than these games. The question now is, how should we make it? He currently lacks the most capital. While Yi-Han was frowning and pondering, suddenly a mechanical voice rang out in his mind, Super Game Development System, currently undergoing activation. Activation completed. Dear host, hello. Super Game Development System, dedicated to serving you. Chapter 2. Newcomer Gift Pack, free development, free of charge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. System. Game development. In an instant, Yi-Han keenly captured this crucial word. As a descendant of a time traveler who has been baptized by countless novels in his past life, he naturally knows what kind of existence system is, so at this moment, there is no shock in his heart, only joy. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Yi-Han asked, System, let me introduce myself. This system focuses on helping hosts develop super games. The so-called super games refer to games in the world that allow people to obtain special powers, answered the mechanized voice. Yi-Han frowned and said, not clear enough. What are the specific functions? The system fell silent. A few seconds later. Buzz. In this virtual login interface, a light curtain was added out of thin air. Yi-Han looked up and saw a clear list of system functions on it. Game development. The host provides a worldview architecture, plot filling, game content settings, and consumes real currency to automatically generate the game. Any game requires a server, and this system provides server rental services. The prices of different levels of servers also vary, and they also consume real currency. Login device can consume popularity and create portable login devices such as watches, rings, necklaces, etc. Lottery Compass, a free lottery, is provided once a month, and the reward content is randomly selected from the game developed by the host to obtain a special ability or item. No paid lottery service is provided. Please note: the host has the highest modification permission for the game, but whether the abilities in the game can be brought into reality depends on the rules of this world road. Due to the scarcity of the host, a beginner gift package will be distributed. The content of the gift package is: game development is free once, server rental is free for 1 month. Sure enough, Yihan felt great joy in his heart. When he falls asleep, he has a pillow. What he lacks the most now is undoubtedly funds, and the newbie gift package given by the system undoubtedly gives him the most basic game development capital. As for the word poverty ratio, it was selectively ignored by Yihan. After all, there's nothing wrong with what the system says. After calming down, Yihan looked at the light curtain again. After thinking for a moment, he suddenly said, "What are the levels of servers?" "Up, middle, and down." The system immediately replied, "Lower-level servers can accommodate 1 billion people online at the same time. Medium-level servers can accommodate billions of people online at the same time. Upper-level servers have no restrictions on simultaneous online." Yihan. He twitched his lips a few times. If placed in a past life, this would be a super invincible server. How could there be a game where 1 billion people are online at the same time? But in this world where games are played all over the universe, a billion people. Well, the capacity is really small. What about consumption? How much popularity do the 3 types of servers require to rent? Yihan asked. The system simply responded. The server rental function has a minimum lease term of 1 month and a maximum lease term of 1 year. Upon expiration, users can choose to renew or not renew. Lower-level server. Monthly fee of 1 million real currency, annual fee of 9 million real currency. Intermediate server. Monthly fee of 100 million real currency, annual fee of 900 million real currency. Superior server. Monthly cost of billions of real currency, annual cost of 900 trillion real currency. Yihan. Are you teasing me? This Nima, the real currency of the lower-level server, is okay. The average server is actually 100 million, while the upper-level server is directly billions. And this is still a month. So, if I'm not mistaken, renting a server for free for a month should be considered inferior. After a long silence, Yihan sighed. Yes, the host. The mechanized sound of the system has no emotion or color, but it is not stingy in praising, "You are so smart." Yihan also thinks he is very smart. After all, based on that price, he thinks it's impossible for this system to directly rent him a first-class server for free for a month. Well, even a moderate one is not possible. Squinting his eyes, Yihan fell into contemplation again. He stared at the system function introduction on the light screen, and his gaze fell on the last, "Please pay attention. This world can indeed obtain abilities or items from games. But the higher the level, the more difficult it is to obtain things, whether they are abilities or items, because in order to synchronize with the real world, something with the prefix true needs to be exploded in the game. Ability requires skill books to be revealed, while items are directly revealed with the prefix true. Let's give an analogy. For example, in a martial arts game, if you want to obtain the 18 dragon subduing palms, you need to release a skill book called True Dragon Subduing 18 Palms. For example, if you want to obtain a peerless sword, you need to directly unleash one. What a peerless sword. A game with an incomplete worldview, no matter how good the visuals are or how much it resembles a real world, is difficult to create an object with the word true. So, people in this world choose games not to see how good the game graphics are or how powerful the characters are, but to see if their worldview is complete and if the settings are outrageous. In the public perception, games that are prone to revealing items with the word true are a good game. Chapter 3, First Game. Dungeon and Brave. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Which game should we develop first? Yi-Han pondered. As a seasoned gaming enthusiast, he has a plethora of various games in his mind. There are many more popular ones. For example, Dungeons and Warriors, League of Legends, World of Warcraft, Blade Tower, Sword and Fairy series, Yin-Yang Master, King of Fighters, and Fantasy Westward Journey countless. There are also some good games that were supposed to be masterpieces but were destroyed by garbage operations. For example, the God of War, such as Dragon Valley, such as Sword Spirit, such as Seeking Immortals, such as Eternal Tower. They are also countless. Of course. There is also a portion that was destroyed by cheating, so I won't mention it further. Anyway. Yi-Han has countless ideas. In his past life, he was a true game dead end, playing almost all famous games, and remembering plot settings and so on. In fact, some games need to modify some of the original settings in order to be developed. For example, League of Legends is a typical example. It has an extremely rich world background, with each hero having their own unique story that is captivating, but it is a MOBA-type game. If Yi-Han wants to develop it, he needs to make certain modifications. The original game mode is naturally impossible to modify. However, some things will be added and removed, such as the Valoran continent, Shadow Island, Ionia, etc. in the game background, which will truly appear in the eyes of players, presenting a real world. This game is quite troublesome. Yi-Han squinted his eyes and temporarily rejected the idea of developing League of Legends. He needs to make some preparations. And the preparation time is obviously not too short. But now, Yi-Han must create a game with a world background and gameplay settings that are not very complicated. How about Dungeon? Yi-Han pondered. Dungeon and Warrior is a classic 2D side-scrolling game in its past life. Its worldview setting is quite reasonable, and each game character has its own background and story. And skills and weapons also have extremely distinctive styles. Of course. If we were to create a virtual reality game, it would definitely not be so simple and easy to understand. How could a human player enter the game world and still be like a previous horizontal version? That's it. After careful consideration, Yi-Han finally made a decision. He immediately asked, "Do I need to write down the system, game's worldview, settings, and so on?" Required. The mechanized voice of the system replied, "If the host allows, this system can also directly scan the host's memory. But this is not a good idea because it is prone to confusion." Then write it. Yi-Han made a decisive decision and immediately went offline. For the next few days, he would write vigorously, desperately thinking about all the plot and settings about the dungeon in his past life. Fortunately, his memory was very good, and he had played countless times, so he had already memorized it in his heart. Finally, half a month later, the design draft of the dungeon was finally completed. System, scan. Yi-Han was full of energy and placed a stack of design drafts on the table. Accepting instructions, scanning in progress. Scanning completed. Game name. Dungeons and Braves. Do you want to start renting servers? You have a free 1-month trial period for lower tier servers. The sound of system mechanization resounds through the mind. Lease. Yi-Han nodded. We are renting a lower tier server for 1 month. Do you want to start developing a super game? You have the permission to develop a super game for free once. Development. Yi-Han took a deep breath. After preparing for half a month, I finally arrived at this day. During this half-month period, he forgot to eat and sleep because the world architecture of the game cannot be the same as in the previous life. After all, one is a 2D landscape version, and the other is virtual reality. The division of the Heavenly Realm, Demon Realm, and Arad continent can be very complicated. Fortunately, this game does not require the final version to be completed directly, so what Yihan designed was only the initial version of Dungeon and Warriors, only opening up the Arad continent. As for the Heavenly Realm and the Demon Realm, they are naturally waiting for the subsequent level opening and version updates. Yihan, who has been baptized in his past life, is well versed in this path. The original version of the Arad continent. Yihan feels that the blood in his body is surging, and it will undoubtedly be a brilliant and colorful world, which cannot be displayed in the 2D horizontal version of his past life. Fortunately, it's ready now. We are developing a super game. Dungeons and Warriors, with the current version set to version 1.0. Development completed. Congratulations host, you have successfully developed your first super game. Would you like to link this game to our World's Game download library and promote it through advertising? Chapter 4. GM Mode and Player Mode, Seeking Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Advertising Promotion. Yihan looked surprised and said, "Do you still have this kind of service? That must be promoted. Good, the sound of system mechanization is very serious. So, which type of advertising does the host want to choose? They are regular advertising, placement advertising, and bombardment advertising. The charging methods are 10,000 real currency per day, 1 million real currency per day, and 100 million real currency per day." Yihan. Nima. Surprisingly, it's for a fee. And that bombing-style propaganda actually costs a whopping 100 million real currency. You know, this is a daily consumption. He was speechless for a while, searching for memories in his mind, looking at his savings. Well, there were also over 100,000 universe coins, which are universal currencies in the whole universe and are the legacy left by his deceased parents. It should have been several times more than this, but it ended up being defeated. After hesitating for a moment, Yihan tentatively asked, "As a beginner, can you give me a free day of advertising?" "Sorry, we can't." Quickly, the system responded, "The fee is not collected by this system, but directly used at the lowest price to help you purchase advertising time on various platforms." Yihan was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized. Then he pursed his lips. The level of the system was not very good. According to the routines of some system novels he had read in his past life, shouldn't it be a mandatory wave of bombardment advertisements? Then, let's start with a day of regular promotion. Yihan raised his hand finger. There is no way, poverty is the original sin. Okay. We are adding the game to our World's Game download library and conducting regular promotion. The funds have been automatically transferred from your alliance card. The system said, "Please name the game developer." Game developers. Yihan frowned and pondered for a moment before slowly saying, "Let's call it 2 lifetimes. In the past and present, there are 2 lifetimes. Determine the name of the game developer. 2 generations. Next, just wait for people to notice this game." Yihan took a deep breath. He decided to become the first player, turned around and walked into the game room, put on the game helmet, and the familiar dizziness came. When he opened his eyes again, he was already on the game login interface. Looking at the floating light curtains around, Yihan's mouth twitched and he waved his big hand, directly selecting all and then deleting them. A bunch of junk games. Then, Yihan's mind moved and a curtain of light appeared. In the upper left corner of the light screen, there are 5 standard Chinese characters prominently written. Game Download Library. Of course, not all the universe is speaking Chinese, but it is on Earth. In the universe, there are numerous races and diverse languages. And Chinese is one of the most widely circulated languages because although it is difficult to learn, its content is rich enough, and it is now a universal language in the universe. Simply choose search. Dungeons and Warriors. Brush. The light curtain flashed. The interface displays an introduction to Dungeon and Warrior, which is added by the system and is simple and crude. Do you want to become stronger? Here is everything you want. The most complete and rigorous worldview. The highest explosion rate. The most exciting gameplay setting. The most reasonable equipment and skills. I'm still worried about how I can't produce real character equipment and skills. Dungeons and Warriors will take you to experience the thrill of explosion. The most popular game of 3018, waiting for you to fight. Yihan. Well, great, very powerful. Click to download, and in just a few seconds, the Dungeon and Warriors, which are hundreds of gigabytes in size, have already been downloaded. It has to be said. The wireless network speed in this world is indeed very fast, and the entire Earth is already spread out. Don't be fooled by the size of a few hundred gigabytes, you should know that this is a virtual reality game that is almost real world. Compared to other games, it is already very small. The most popular games so far are all calculated using T. 1T equals 1024 GB. The reason why Dungeons and Warriors are only so small is entirely because the system's black technology has compressed it to this extent. Before entering the game, Yihan glanced at the download interface. Download volume. 1. He rolled his eyes, and the only download he had was undoubtedly himself. At this moment, a cold voice echoed through the space. Launching Dungeon and Warriors. At the same time, a beautiful and resounding piece of music echoes leisurely. A brave warrior like the wind. This is the music of the Dungeon and Warrior launch interface that Yihan loved very much in his past life, sometimes resounding and sometimes gentle, as if the warrior sword is ready and always ready to rush to the battlefield. The game has started. The cold voice rang out again, please choose GM mode or player mode. Player mode, Jiang Han said. The so-called GM mode naturally refers to the game administrator mode, where players are now required to experience the game rather than manage it. Besides, there are no special players at the moment. Player mode confirmation. Brush. The light screen flickered, revealing the interface for creating characters, consisting of 5. Ghost Swordsman, Divine Gunslinger, Fighter, Magician, and Clergyman. This is the initial game character, and other characters will be gradually released in future updates. Yihan decisively chose the Ghost Swordsman. Character selection completed. The proportion of the character's body shape is 1:2.1. May I ask if the appearance has been adjusted up or down? It can only fluctuate up or down by 10%. Keep it unchanged, Yihan said. Please name the character. The First Apostle. The name is unique and can be used. After the character is created, do you want to enter the game immediately? A cold voice echoed around. Yihan slowly closed his eyes. Enter. Chapter 5. Terrifying Realism. Seeking Flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I have a splitting headache. Heavy body. What's going on here? A young man was lying on the ground, struggling with all his strength, propping himself up with both hands. He slowly sat up and let out a heavy gasp from his mouth. My hands. My hands hurt so much. He lowered his head and looked at his extremely sore left hand, then suddenly froze. It turned black and red. What is this? The young man suddenly felt as if his right hand had touched a sticky liquid. He looked up in confusion and his pitch-black pupils suddenly widened. He trembled, shook his body, slowly turned his head, and looked to the side the next moment. The boy's face became frightened and helpless, because next to him were 2 corpses flowing with blood. That's his parents. Ah! A mournful roar echoed through the sky. Yi Han opened his eyes and took a long breath. Just now, he entered the dream of the character Ghost Swordsman, experiencing firsthand the events that happened during his childhood. It has to be said. The visual sensation is extremely explosive. In his past life, Yi Han watched the comic-style Ghost Swordsman opening animation countless times, but it was a completely different experience from experiencing it firsthand this time. Even though he knew it was just a game, there was still a deep sadness in his dream that could not be resolved. Or maybe it's because this is equivalent to my own dream, murmured Yi Han. After all, now he is the Ghost Swordsman. Looking down at the black and red ferocious ghost hand, it was like a demon's hand crawling out of hell, fierce and terrifying, with a metal shackle wrapped around its arm. He reached out his right hand and touched his left arm, feeling real and no different from reality. At this point, the system is still very fragile. The other virtual reality games that Yi Han tried out, although the ones with higher rankings were also very realistic, none of them could achieve this level of realism, making him feel like he had traveled through time again. Next, we're going to save Celia. Yi Han muttered. Almost as soon as his words fell, a crisp and melodious cry for help came from deep in the jungle. Chen Xiaoxiong is a game dead end. He not only plays games every day, but also plays games. It can be said without hesitation that there is no game in the vast game download library that he has never played before. And Chen Xiaoxiong's greatest pleasure is that whenever a new game appears, it is immediately downloaded and tried out. Then, in the game forum, use almost the highest level private account to publish reviews. That's right. As a game dead end, he is also a seasoned game connoisseur. What kind of thing? In the game hall, Chen Xiaoxiong's figure slowly appeared and spat at non-existent saliva. Game manufacturers nowadays are crazy about making money. The games they design have no logic at all, it's nonsense. He just tried playing a game called God-Killing Reincarnation. The name sounded very high, but as soon as he entered the game, the graphics were of poor quality. Moreover, as long as he recharged 6 universe coins, he could reach the maximum level and obtain anti-heaven equipment, killing everything from then on. Why don't you step on a horse and go to heaven? Of course. This kind of junk game is still played by some people. After all, many players encounter frustration in reality, and it is normal to vent in this type of game. But its function is only limited to this. Because this type of game is disliked by most players, it cannot reveal any items with the word true. This game. Chen Xiaoxiong was browsing through the latest stored games when he suddenly noticed Dungeons and Warriors and was taken aback. A few seconds later, he sighed and said, "Can all the popular warrior streaming games from hundreds of years ago be brought up? The level of designers nowadays is really getting lower and lower. Hey, if I were to be responsible for game inventory review, I must seal all these junk games. Why is it so difficult to find a good game?" While sighing, Chen Xiaoxiong skillfully clicked into the game homepage of Dungeon and Warrior. The next moment, he furrowed his brows slightly. Is this scene another fake? Chen Xiaoxiong looked at the screenshots of the game screen attached to the game introduction interface and shook his head. As far as he knows. Although there are very few games with fake screenshots, they are not uncommon. However, they are often cleared from the game download library after only a few minutes of being online. So, Chen Xiaoxiong patiently waited for a while. 10 minutes later. He refreshed the interface, the game is still there, and the download volume has increased from 1 to 4. Surprisingly, it's true. Chen Xiaoxiong's gaze suddenly lit up. As a seasoned game critic who has played every game in the game download library once, games with such graphics can be considered extremely rare. Is it the latest work of a big company? Chen Xiaoxiong clicked on the game developer interface with great interest and then froze. 2 lifetimes. What kind of small and rundown company is this? I haven't heard of it at all. It has to be said. The game graphics created by this developer are indeed good, but the level of the name is really rubbish. Especially the game name, it's simply an antique. There may not be many players interested in clicking on this outdated game name. Muttering in his heart, Chen Xiaoxiong quickly clicked to download. Anyway, let's play first. Chapter 6. Good games, never worry about people playing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Launching Dungeon and Warriors. The cool and pleasant sound resounded throughout the space of the game hall. The next moment, a section of music, sometimes powerful and sometimes accompanied by tenderness, echoes leisurely in this space and reaches Chen Xiaoxiong's ears. Oh, the theme music sounds really nice. Listening to the beautiful music, Chen Xiaoxiong couldn't help but become even more excited about the game. Buzz. The game has started. A cold voice rang out once again, please create your character. Brush. The light screen flickered, revealing the interface for creating characters, with a total of 5. Chen Xiaoxiong glanced over and suddenly showed a surprised expression. Fighter, magician, clergyman, sharpshooter. Well, these 4 professions are quite common, but this ghost swordsman is the first time I've heard of it. Is it the same as the dead swordsman in some games? Chen Xiaoxiong enthusiastically clicked on the job introduction, revealing a look of surprise. Not a undead. A cursed ghost hand. He looked at the figure of the ghost swordsman emerging from the light curtain, his eyes lit up, and said, this arm, TSK, is ferocious enough. It looks like a hell demon, but it's appropriate to call it ghost hand. It turns out that ghost swordsman means that. Next, he continued to read the job introduction. Soon. Chen Xiaoxiong's face became solemn as he solemnly read through the professional introduction of the ghost swordsman and fell silent. In a few tens of seconds, he clicked on the professional introduction of the sharpshooter, and after reading it again, he then carefully read through the 3 professions of the fighter, magician, and clergyman. This time, he remained silent for even longer, staring at the interface for creating the character without blinking. For a long time. Chen Xiaoxiong breathed a light sigh. 5 professions, each with a comprehensive career introduction and background. Although not many job introductions are based solely on word count, Chen Xiaoxiong has almost outlined a confusing world in his mind, with each profession having a different background. If the storyline of the game can be as rigorous and serious as the career introduction, coupled with the excellent graphics, then this game has the potential for fire. Chen Xiaoxiong instantly confirmed this fact. Most games on the market today have formed 2 extremes. Either the graphics are excellent, but the game content is ordinary, and there is room for improvement in terms of worldview and plot structure, either the visuals are rubbish, but the worldview and plot are still acceptable. Of course. There are also games that are both excellent, after all, the universe is vast, and there are still talents. But you should know that, good game, never worry about people playing. Because no matter how good the game is, few people can tolerate playing it over and over again, even though the game can bring them strength in real life. But since there are 2 games with almost the same level of proficiency, why not switch back and forth to play them? Not to mention, not everyone in this world has a pale face and can reveal good items with the word true in a game. At such times, he would think, could it be the reason for the game? Perhaps. Can a different game be explosive? Of course, this is just a form of psychological comfort, but it is already sufficient and does not require too many reasons. Hanging dead or alive from a tree. There are people like this. But there won't be many. Because in this gaming-dominated world, super games are not just fun, they will largely change your social status and wealth level. It's just that everything depends on the face. Shaking his head, Chen Xiaoxiong set aside the chaotic thoughts in his mind and refocused his attention on the 5 professions. Sharpshooters, magicians, fighters, clergy. These 4 professions, although Qin Xiaoxiong found that they were different from the settings in other games, can only be said to be similar in feeling. After all, the names are placed there. The only thing that interests him is the ghost swordsman. In the job introduction, the last sentence mentions the transfer of each profession. But Qin Xiaoxiong hasn't paid much attention yet. After all, whether he can reach the level of job transfer is still an unknown number. Who knows if this game will attract him to continue playing. The ghost swordsman profession has been successfully created. Please name your character. A cool and pleasant sound sounded. Sun Knight Brando. Qin Xiaoxiong immediately gave his character a name without hesitation. In fact, all of his games are named after this name unless they are hijacked. Entering the game. Please wait. With the prompt sound, Qin Xiaoxiong closed his eyes. The next moment, a childish and slightly panicked voiceover echoed through his mind. "Ah. I have a splitting headache." Chapter 7. A game that breaks through the times. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Who? Opening his eyes, Qin Xiaoxiong was covered in cold sweat. He took a deep breath, with an indescribable shock lingering in his eyes. Without a doubt. Just now. He, like Yi Han, experienced a childhood experience belonging to the ghost swordsman profession, and that incredibly realistic feeling is an immersive experience that no other game has. What exactly is the origin of this game company? Qin Xiaoxiong's heart was shaken. Even though they are among the top-ranked conglomerates in the entire universe, the most popular games they have developed do not possess this completely immersive advanced technology, and the realism has reached a 100% level. It's like it's a real first-hand experience. Why has a company with such crushing technology never heard of it? Help! Suddenly, a light and pleasant sound with a panicked cry for help rang out in the dense forest ahead. Has the plot started yet? Qin Xiaoxiong's heart twitched as he stood up, clenched the newbie stick in his hand, and walked towards the direction of the sound. As a seasoned player, he naturally has seen the equipment and skills on his body. The equipment is very ordinary, a typical beginner whiteboard. And there are two main skills, namely, Ghost Slash and Pick Up. The release methods of these two skills are very simple, just like other super games, you can release them with just one thought. Suddenly, Qin Xiaoxiong stopped in his tracks. A few monsters appeared ahead, with big characters written on their heads. Goblin. At this point, those goblins had already noticed him, turned their heads, each with an ugly face, waving their fangs and shouting loudly as they rushed towards him. Ghost Slash. Qin Xiaoxiong released his skills without hesitation. Bang! The eerie blue ghostly figure flashed away on the wooden stick, and a majestic energy condensed onto the stick. With the movement of his swing, he directly threw the several goblins that were rushing towards him upside down. Qin Xiaoxiong was taken aback. Then, he looked down at the stick in disbelief and then at his own hand. Grab the grass. This feeling is really a bit excessive, isn't it? You should know. Qin Xiaoxiong is not an ordinary person in reality. After all, he has played so many games and has also exploded some things with the word true, so naturally he is very clear about the feeling when releasing skills in reality. But no matter how realistic the game is, there are also significant differences from reality. But this game did it. At the moment of using the skill, Ghost Slash, a deep energy suddenly surged out of the body, following the ferocious ghost hand and spreading into the wooden stick, thus unleashing the power and effect of the Ghost Slash. As far as Qin Xiaoxiong knows, no other game can achieve this. Even the hottest ones are the same. In short, when other games release skills, it does not affect the player themselves. Even if they slap the sky and the earth shatter, energy only accumulates on the surface of the palm and does not surge out of the body. What does this mean? This super game called Dungeon Warrior has a skill explosion rate that is definitely not low. This game will undoubtedly become popular. Watching the few goblins rushing towards him again, Chen Xiaoxiong took a deep breath, suppressed the vibration in his heart, and killed all the monsters 3 times and 5 times, suppressing the urge to continue playing offline. As a game critic, his first idea is to post on the game forum first. Although it may not seem like many people have noticed this game yet, he strongly believes that it will soon present an unparalleled popularity. Returning to the game hall, Chen Xiaoxiong eagerly opened the game forum. But the next moment, he was stunned. Forum homepage. A bold and black post caught his attention, and it can be seen that its page views have reached billions and are constantly climbing, born out of nowhere. Do you feel have you experienced games that are 100% realistic? The post name is very ordinary and vulgar. But the problem is, the person who posted on the forum is called transforming into Qianfeng. Like Chen Xiaoxiong's profession, he is a game connoisseur and also one of the highest level users on the game forum. His fan base is terrifying, even more than Chen Xiaoxiong. Therefore, although the title of his post may not be very well known, there are still many people who click on it as soon as possible. Damn it! Chen Xiaoxiong was almost furious. He looked at the posting time and realized that he was about 5 minutes late. A deep regret filled my heart. Without a doubt, if it weren't for waiting for 10 minutes before entering the game, the first person to post now would be him. But this also indicates that the Dungeon and Warrior game has become popular. As a rival, Chen Xiaoxiong is very familiar with the temperament of Huazhua Qianfeng, who is a typical tongue twister. Most games are devalued by him as worthless. If Qianfeng doesn't like a certain game, even if the developer gives him more money, he won't help promote it. Think for a moment. Chen Xiaoxiong reached out and pulled out the virtual keyboard, then took a deep breath and started posting as well, a super game that breaks through the times. Dungeons and Braves. Chapter 8. Online Population Explosion. Developer Gift Pack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ghost / Yihan held the bronze short sword sent by the mission in his hand, and the surging power surged out of himself, passing along his arm to the ghost hand and attaching to the short sword. Shit! A black shadow flashed past, directly chopping the bull-headed monster in front and flying backwards. He had a lot of fun playing. Before this, Yihan had already tried other games, but he can responsibly say that no game has such a level of realism. Even the most popular games cannot. It feels different whether it's a system product or not, Yihan grinned. At this moment. Ding! The cold sound of the system echoed through my mind. Congratulations! The number of online players in the game has reached 1 million, and I have received a developer gift package. Please enter the game email to check it. Yihan was momentarily stunned. Although he anticipated that the game would become popular, he didn't expect it to become so popular so quickly. Why did he suddenly have 1 million online users? Before he could fully recover, his eyes suddenly darkened, and a tremendous force hit him. Ah! Yihan let out a painful scream and stumbled back. He lowered his head and saw that his chest was all red. He took advantage of the moment when he was just stunned, and the bullhead monster took the opportunity to punch him. The blood bar on the head directly decreased by 1/5. Fuck your sister. Yihan was furious and strode forward, killing the little boss bullhead monster with his chaotic sword in 3 strikes and 5 strikes. But there were still bursts of intense pain coming from the position of the chest. Mad, is it really too much? Yihan bares his teeth. This is his first time to be injured, but he never expected that he would be so hurt. It's almost the same as in reality. Friendly reminder. 100% pain in the game. The sound of the system suddenly rang out. Why didn't you say it earlier? Can you change the percentage of pain? Yihan almost vomited blood. Can. The system quickly responded, however, pain is related to both burst rate and experience. For every 1% decrease in pain percentage, both burst rate and experience decrease by 1%. Yihan. This operation is very provocative. He hesitated for a moment, without lowering the percentage of pain, but only said, add this set prompt to the game animation for players to choose from independently. Okay, the system promised. Yihan picked up a few small items that had exploded on the bullhead monster, and patiently waited for the settlement of the dungeon before returning to the town. Slightly different from the original game settings. After completing the first mission to rescue Celia, players will not directly enter Celia's room, but will appear on the streets of the Alvin line, at the entrance of Celia's room. At the moment he came out, Yihan only felt that there were crowds of people everywhere on the street. All players. If it weren't for Yihan's consideration of this situation at the beginning, he would have set the map's range extremely wide, probably unable to even walk, and would have had to queue up. After all, there is the existence of black technology in the system, and the low-level operation of setting up district servers does not exist. All players are in the same zone. As for the crowded server, according to the system, as long as Yihan has the funds to rent top-notch servers, no matter how many players are online at the same time, they can completely hold on. Yihan was not in a hurry to hand over the task. He directly called up the email panel and extracted the gift package. Not waiting for him to open the gift package suddenly, the sound of the system rang again. Congratulations! The number of concurrent players in the game has reached 5 million, and you have received a developer gift package. Please enter the game email to check. Yihan was stunned and instinctively opened his email again. Almost simultaneously. Another prompt. Congratulations! The number of concurrent players in the game has reached 10 million, and you have received a developer gift package. Please check your game mailbox. Yihan. He froze while retrieving email attachments. What happened? Why do players suddenly skyrocket? Could it be that the system's most useless advertising function has such a powerful effect? Yihan is a bit confused. Congratulations! The number of concurrent players in the game has reached 100 million, and you have received a developer gift package. Please enter the game mailbox to check. The system's voice was calm, broadcasting. Yihan has become numb. The game will definitely become popular, which is something he has always believed in. But no matter what, he never expected that its speed of fire would be so fast, so inexplicable that he couldn't come to his senses for a moment. Of course. The number of people online at the same time of 100 million is actually not much for the games on the leaderboard. After all, this is for the entire universe. But it should also be noted that Dungeons & Warriors have only been released for more than 10 minutes, and only regular promotional advertisements can have such a significant effect in theory. Although I don't know why, this is undoubtedly a good thing. After a moment of daze, Yihan's mood was stirred. Without hesitation, he said in his mind, distribute a 100 million person online gift package to all players. The package includes 1,000 gold coins, 10 full health recovery potions. After thinking for a moment, he added, 3 more blazing star magic boxes and lucky hammers. At the same time, open them all. Just kidding. As toxic milk powder, without a shopping mall, is it still called toxic milk powder? Give me all your life. Good, the sound of the system is still cold. The next moment, a mechanized sound resounds throughout the entire gaming world, reaching the ears of every player. To celebrate the 100 million concurrent online users of the game, we would like to send a thank you gift package to all dear players. The gift package has been distributed to players' email, please check it. The mall function has been opened, and we hope all players are aware. Chapter 9. Slaughter Game Forum. Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Almost immediately after the game announcement, the prompt sound of the system echoed through Yihan's mind again. Congratulations! The number of concurrent online players in the game has reached 1 billion, and you have received a developer gift package. Please check your game mailbox. Warning! The number of players currently online in the game has reached the limit. Please rent a new server as soon as possible. Yihan. He showed a surprised expression and, after a brief pause, chose to go offline directly. There must be a problem somewhere. The number of people online in this game is also growing too fast, so fast that Yihan can't even react. At first, it was okay, only measured in tens of thousands. What about the results now? Just now it was only 100 million, and in less than a blink of an eye, it suddenly surpassed 1 billion players, instantly filling up the number of lower-tier servers. Other new players who want to come in can only wait for someone to come offline. Game Hall. After pondering for a while, Yihan decisively opened the game forum. He can be 100% certain that the ordinary advertising placement in the system will never have such amazing effects, so there must be some special reasons. A game suddenly became popular, and it's impossible for no one to discuss it on the game forum. Almost as soon as he opened the game forum, Yihan was stunned. Because he glanced over the entire page of posts, almost 7 or 8 times carrying the words dungeon and warrior, and the views and replies of each post were not less than millions. What happened? Yihan looked bewildered. His gaze fell on the 2 highest topped posts, both of which were bolded and blacked out, particularly eye-catching, and their replies had already reached astonishing billions. This made Yihan's tongue twitch involuntarily. It has to be said that this level of heat is simply not comparable to the Earth in previous lifetimes, and is not on the same level. A reply worth billions was almost impossible in the past life. But in this world billions, it's just the beginning. Take a look at each one. Yihan is patient and needs to click on the first post. The person who posted is called Huazhua Qianfeng, and he knows this name. Based on his memory in his mind, he should be one of the senior game connoisseurs on the forum, with a large number of fans. Landlord, transform into 1,000 wins. Without further ado, I will introduce a game to you today. It is a great game that can catch your attention. The name of this game is very rustic, called Dungeon and Warrior. Actually, the owner looked at the name and didn't want to play it because it was so tacky and frothy. The name was from hundreds of years ago. But when I looked at the screenshot of the game, I was surprised. Can the game graphics really be so realistic? The landlord doesn't believe it. Balabara. Yihan finished reading the post that turned into Qianfeng with great interest. It has to be said. The title of this game connoisseur truly lives up to its name. From this person's post, it can be seen that he only played in the game for 4 or 5 minutes before leaving and posting directly. However, Yihan couldn't help but be surprised by his understanding of the game. Of course, Yihan gave some reasons for the game background, but transforming into Qianfeng can rely solely on the limited game background to speculate on many game contents, which is really not simple. There are indeed 2 tricks to having so many fans. After reading the post that turned into 1,000 wins, Yihan flipped down and started reading comments from netizens. First floor. Sofa second floor. Bench. Close range caress touch 1,000 wins and giants. Third floor. Front row. Did Qianfeng boss unexpectedly release a game appreciation post again? It seems that this game is worth playing. Let me, Shen Nong, take the lead and test the poison. Fourth floor. Are you still alive upstairs? Fifth floor. I haven't read the post yet, please reply first. Are the people upstairs who live in the game forum special? Sixth floor 1,008,085th floor. Damn it, are you all animals? I went to download the game, but the result told me that the server was full. 1,008,086th floor, plus pi 1,121,834th floor. What kind of broken company game is it? It's done so well in all aspects, but the server is so mediocre that it can only accommodate 1 billion players online at the same time. Uninstall and uninstall. Yihan flipped directly to the last page of the post, and the comments and replies afterwards were basically cursing the server for being garbage. He smacked his lips, somewhat speechless. This is an impossible thing situation, even though 1 billion people are online at the same time now, he still doesn't have money. Because the mall has just opened, players have also just started playing. There won't be many people recharging. After turning off the post that turned into Qianfeng, Yihan took a look at another post with the second highest number of replies. The poster was called Sun Knight Brando, who is also a famous game critic. And the time these two people posted, one was 5 minutes after the game was released, and the other was more than 10 minutes later. The surge in the number of online users was also about 10 minutes later. I see. Yihan finally understood. The reason for the rapid increase in players is ultimately due to the assists of these two game connoisseurs, who directly attracted a large number of players to Dungeons and Warriors, while also sparking discussions. As a result, almost all the homepage of the entire forum is discussing Dungeons, and it's a direct slaughter. Thank you very much. Yihan's mouth corner revealed a faint smile. Without the top connoisseurs in these two gaming forums, games can certainly become popular, but they will never become so popular, so fast. After thinking about it, Yihan opened the Dungeon and the Warrior again, and said decisively, GM mode. Seeking flowers, seeking evaluation tickets, seeking monthly tickets. Chapter 10. Zhen Episode 1. Sky Set. Underworld Sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. GM mode is a mode that only Yihan can log in. Simply put, it is administrator mode. Opening GM mode. Randomly selecting GM characters. Done. The cold sound of the system echoed in my ears. The next moment, a figure appeared in front of Yihan, dressed in an ordinary light yellow shirt, still bald, with a long white band tied to his forehead and the word LR written on it. Below his figure, his name is marked in two simple big characters, Wind Vibration. Master Feng Zhen from the Fighting Master Dojo. At the same time, he is also a master of Su Zufeng Fist Flow, who is as fast as the wind. He is a righteous young man who has always adhered to the essence of a fighter, and his profession is Qigong Master. He is strict with himself and never slack off. When he was very young, Feng Zhen was recognized as a Qigong Master, but he was not satisfied with it and still excels in martial arts to this day. As Su Zhu had already gained some fame, he believed that a stable life could only cultivate laziness. Therefore, he left the Void Ancestor and came to Hedenmer, where he opened his own dojo. While teaching martial arts to other fighters, Feng Zhen still insists on going to Grand Forest every day to fight monsters and improve his martial arts skills. It is worth mentioning. This guy is actually only 22 years old, just looking old. So when setting up this character, Yihan made slight adjustments to make him look younger, not like a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. Is GM mode randomly assigned to a character in the game? Yihan was surprised. Yes. The system replied, every time the GM mode is randomly inserted, if you are not satisfied with the character, you can enter the game and choose to exit, choose the GM mode again, and then randomize again. That's it. Yihan smiled indifferently and said, first, I would like to send an apology letter. The content is: due to underestimating the enthusiasm of the players, the server is not set up properly, and an emergency upgrade is currently underway. Please convey this message to other players who were unable to enter the game. We deeply apologize for this. Okay, the system promised. Enter the game. Yihan nodded, then shook his body and disappeared into the game hall. The next moment, he appeared in the martial arts hall of Hedenmer, looked at the decorations on his body, and it was indeed Feng Zhen, with a white cloth strip tied to his head. This power! Yi Han instinctively clenched his fist, feeling a slight shock in his heart. The realism of this game is no different from reality. Therefore, the strength of the characters in the game is not just a simple set of data, but also a matter of how powerful they should be. At this moment, Yi Han could clearly feel the surge of energy in his body. After a moment of contemplation, Yi Han shook his head. He was in GM mode at this time, so he had global control over the game. With a glance, he could see all the players' data and their current positions. To his surprise, someone had already crossed the Alvin defense line and entered the Forest of Gran. The universe is vast, and there are indeed many talented people and extraordinary individuals. Yi Han couldn't help but sigh. He pondered for a moment and said in his mind, among all players, search for, transforming into Qianfeng and Sun Knight Brando. Search completed. Almost in the next second, the sound of the system resounded in my ears. Brush. Two light curtains that only he could see appeared in front of Yi Han, recording the data of transforming into 1,000 winds and Sun Knight Brando, respectively. Both individuals have very low levels, one at level 2 and one at level 3. It is obvious. Although they were the first to log into the game, posting on the forum took a lot of time. Give them a thank. You gift package separately. Yi Han smiled and said, as for the content of the gift package. For the first issue of the Sky set, give them each one. Remember, it's one piece, not one set. In addition, give them 10 Blazing Star magic boxes, 10 Lucky Magic Hammers, and 10 Remy's assistants separately. Good. The tone of the system remained unchanged, directly agreeing to the promise. This is the permission that developers should have, and they can give players various gift packages. The only thing they are unhappy about is that Yi Han cannot give gift packages to himself and has to spend money. Of course. 90% of all profits in the game belong to Yi Han, and 10% of them are collected by the system, which is called maintenance fees. By the way, Yi Han suddenly remembered something. What would happen if I used the GM character to claim my developer gift package? Normal collection. The system quickly replied, the backpacks and warehouses of all your GM and player characters are common and have unlimited capacity, so there's no need to worry about this. Oh. Upon hearing the system's words, Yi Han realized that there was indeed a developer gift package in his backpack that he had previously claimed using the player character of the first apostle. He opened the gift package with great interest, and the system prompt rang out. Congratulations! Open the developer gift pack and receive items such as True Ghost / and True First Sky set. Dark Domain Sky, Head. Yi Han was stunned for a moment. Damn it! Surprisingly. Give something with the word true directly. He remembers that there are still 4 developer gift packages in his email that he hasn't claimed yet. Since the first gift package with 100,000 online users is so good, then the 4 should not be inferior either.